Well, hello, world. We meet again. You know, over the years, done a ton of videos on a whole bunch of different topics. A crazy array of topics, actually. But some topics are more popular than others. And if I could identify a trend that at least seems to resonate with you wonderful people who follow Linchpin, it's anything relating to real life. Everyone seems to love the real life conversations. And not just the real life conversations, but the real life throws a hand grenade in your life or your schedule conversations. So, oh, Kelly, I see you. Ooh, you're someplace tropical. Congratulations, I'm jealous. As I look out my window here in Washington State, it is pouring rain. I am not going to confuse where I am for someplace tropical at all, but have fun. So yesterday is a perfect example of exactly what seems to be such a popular topic with the Linchpin community, life getting in the way of your best set plans. So yesterday, the workout of the day on Linchpin was a 5x5 front squat, which I was so very much looking forward to. Yesterday was Monday, February 28th. Sunday was a full rest day, so I didn't do anything. My body felt good. Sunday night, I don't know how, but I got an amazing amount of sleep, like a ridiculous amount of sleep. Our kids had a sleepover Saturday night, which anyone with kids knows that means they really didn't get any sleep. Regardless of what time you told them to go to bed, they're up to some crazy hour and they're just zombies. So they had school on Monday, so Sunday night we're like, hey, you guys are getting in bed early. It's in bed, lights out at 8. So we made that happen for them. And then Emily and I were like, well, why in the world wouldn't we take advantage of this? I think we were in bed at 8:30, 8:45 at night. It was phenomenal. One of those things you really appreciate when you're an adult. So I got a tremendous night's sleep on Sunday night. Woke up Monday morning feeling like I could tear the head off a lion. Got these 5x5 front squats lined up. I'm ready to get it. We're going to see what happens. What do I have in the tank? It's going to be a fantastic day. Awesome. That's when, unbeknownst to me, somebody had already pulled the pin on a grenade and just rolled it down the hallway into the room that I was in. So my wife got up, Emily got up on Monday morning and was just suffering from a crippling migraine headache. And anyone who's had migraines knows what I'm talking about. I mean, you are med down. You are out of the game, period. Can't even keep your eyes open. So that just meant, due to the nature of that, that other things were going to shift to my plate that day. In addition to regular work stuff, things that she normally would handle, I'm going to have to handle as well because life goes on and she's got this horrific migraine. So I was like, okay, no worries. We can deal with that. That's okay. We got this. It's still a good day, even though it's a Monday. I know Garfield doesn't like Mondays, but I don't mind Mondays. But I was like, we got this. Monday was a busy day. This whole week's going to be busy. But yesterday was a busy day because it was the day I had to start programming an upcoming 4-week block of training for Linchpin. And there's just a lot of time, effort, etc., etc. We've talked a lot about this that goes into the programming. But that initial day when I first start to look forward and start to lay out what's going to happen for the next 4 weeks, there's a lot to do that day, to lay out the pieces that I'm going to do for the next 2 or 3 weeks of getting all the puzzle pieces in there. And it requires some good concentration and all that. So no worries, got it. A little more stuff on my plate, all good. I then received a phone call from my wonderful friend, Mr. Adrian Bosman, good man, who, as many of you probably know, he and I do the Very Not Random podcast for BTWB. We do that podcast together. We film it once a week. And we usually film it a bit later in the week because Mondays are crazy for everybody. And Adrian, needless to say, he's got a lot going on with the Open and all those duties and responsibilities. And so he was like, hey, this week's nuts. We've got to film it today or I'm not going to be able to film it later in the week. So I got this call yesterday morning. And I was like, oh, that hurts. That stings. Because that's not just, anyone who's done a podcast, that doesn't just mean okay, we're going to set aside an hour of the day, which I hadn't planned on, turn on the cameras, turn it off, and suddenly you have a podcast an hour later. What are we going to discuss? And then whatever we're going to discuss, that takes time, effort, and energy to plan, to lay out your thoughts, to articulate it well before the show takes place. So there's preparation before that. So that swiped out a good chunk of my day that I was like, well, we've got to get that done. So yes, let's do that. Let's add that to the plate. And now in the back of my head, I'm thinking, these 5x5 front squats, which I really were looking forward to getting in. And getting in properly. Okay, there's a big key point. You know, because like we say at Linchpin, we respect the heavy days. And if I'm really going to do a 5x5 front squat and see if I can tear that head off the lion, I need every bit of an uninterrupted hour, without question. If I'm really going to lift heavy, I've got to do a good warm-up, and that takes time. And that's just a general warm-up. And then after the warm-up, I'm not ready to just slide under the bar for my first heavy set of 5. I'm going to start building up my loading until I get into the neighborhood of what my first working set will be. Well, that takes time because you also have to rest between every one of those sets. And then for the 5x5 to really lift heavy on each one of those sets and give the respect that it deserves, I'm going to rest 3 to 4 minutes between each one of those. So let's say there's 4 minutes, there's 5 sets of 5, 4 minutes, 4 minutes, 4 minutes, 4. There's 16 minutes of rest just in a 5x5. So again, then I've got to put all the stuff away. It's every bit of an hour. And with everything that I just said, I was like, oh, that's no good. Fine. You know what? I hoped I was going to be able to get away from the computer sometime for an hour during the day when the baby slept, maybe nap number 1 or nap number 2, get back in here, get back on the computer. But now with having to also do the Very Not Random podcast, that just went away with everything else that I had to do. So I was like, fine, not the end of the world, right? I'll do it in the evening. Not a huge fan of that, but I'll do it in the evening. Life goes on. We're okay. I then realized that, I shouldn't say that I realized, I should say that my wife reminded me, that in the evening, our 2 boys, Deacon and Nash, who are 12 and 10, both had sports practice, of course, at 2 different locations. The practices are 90 minutes in length. There's, again, 2 different locations, anywhere from a 15 to a 25-minute drive each way for each one. So that had to somehow happen. So there's going to be this weird disruption in the evening. So the evening was going to be tight. And I was like, okay, back to the original plan. I'm somehow going to have to fit this in during the day. I'm not sure. Then the grenade truly exploded in my wonderful day that I had such beautiful fitness plan. But again, life doesn't care. I was in the 2nd story of our home getting something out of Deacon's room, and from his window, when I look outside, I can see one of the gutters. As I mentioned earlier, it's torrential rain here in Washington State. We're going to get torrential rain for the next 5 days. The state is something special. And I saw that my gutters were totally full and the water was flowing over the top of it, meaning one of the downspouts somewhere was clogged. Awesome. And with 5 continuous days of rain in the forecast, that's unacceptable. That's mission critical. That needs to get handled immediately. So that's going to be me getting on the silly rain suit, breaking out the ladder, going around all the gutters in the house, figuring out what's clogged, and just having a really good time for about an hour. So my hopes and dreams of the 5x5 front squat got flushed down the toilet. And that's okay. Because even though it wasn't ideal, so what I did was, I'm like, fine, I'm going to go into the garage, I'm going to grab the 150-pound D-ball. It's a little dirty, I'm going to wipe it off. I'm going to bring it into the office. You can see it behind me. Right there. 150-pound D-ball. And I am just going to, over the course of the day, try to get in 100 squats with that thing in a front cradle bear hug kind of a position. I don't even care what the sets are. I don't care what the reps are. I don't care how much rest is between each thing. I'm just going to do some computer work, do some podcast stuff, turn around, front squat the ball. Do some programming, figure something out, turn around, front squat the ball. Head into the other room, feed the baby, figure it out, come back in, front squat the ball. And then eventually I'll keep little tick marks on my desk, and when I get to 100 reps, I'm just going to consider that good. And so that's exactly what my heavy day yesterday turned out to be in reality. Oh well, all good, no problem. Was it ideal? No, it was not, but I'm putting it in the victory category. I'm putting it in the win category, that somehow all the junk that life threw at us yesterday, got everything accomplished. And my life is not special. It's not different. It's not unique. And it's not extra hard. It's very similar to every other human being living life. There's something that everyone has every day that gets disrupted, messed up, more problems arise. That's just what we all deal with every day. The key thing is, when those problems do disrupt your schedule, to the best of your ability, figure out some way to still make it work, even if it's not what you planned. You know, no plan survives contact with the enemy, and that's okay. So yesterday should have been a 5x5, but what's the point of a 5x5? To go heavy below parallel. I mean, that's an oversimplification, but heavy below parallel. Well, I got that in. I got in heavy below parallel. Wasn't the same, but I guarantee it'll do the trick, and it's okay. And my very not random co-host, which I will mention again, Mr. Adrian Bosman, he's got a line that I love stealing, and I'll give him credit for it, and I think he's spot on, where he kind of considers your fitness that you're building, it's like you're building a wall, building a brick wall. And every workout is just a brick that you're laying into the wall. And no one particular brick makes that wall strong or makes it impenetrable or makes it what it is. It's all the bricks that you lay over time, and they all build together and, you know, come together where the sum is greater than all the individual parts, right? And each brick doesn't have to be a PR. Each brick doesn't have to be the most amazing brick that you've ever laid in your entire life. You just got to put another brick in the wall each day. Period, end of story. And if you do that consistently, really good things are going to happen. And that's the attitude that I try to have with fitness in general, quite frankly. Whether I PR or not, somewhat irrelevant. Keep putting bricks into the wall, and it will pay off for you. And you know, I didn't get in that 5x5, so I don't know. Maybe missing that 5x5 workout is going to make my fitness level on the BTWB app go down a little bit. Who cares? Who cares? It's just one other thing to track. It's all good. In the long run, put the darn bricks in the wall, and you're going to be on the right track. And life's going to be pretty spectacular. And that's sustainable for long-term health and fitness, which is kind of what we're going for. So anyway, that's my real life story for the week. I'm sure everyone has their own and they can relate. Find a way to make it happen no matter what. Something is infinitely better than nothing, and we're all kind of in this crazy journey together. So thanks for being awesome, and we'll talk again later.